Let me spotlight myself. Okay. Before we get going, we're going to just do a quick kind of grounding to get everyone present and in space. We're just going to do one deep breath in through our nose to fill our bellies. And if you're in a space where you can, a nice audible sigh out where you can feel the vibrations in your throat and your chest. And then we'll get going. So just one deep breath in. All right. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. So welcome to our 5th annual Game Changers event. I'm Miley Hadley, Zeno's Executive Director. Isn't it amazing how math works? I feel like I just started at Zeno yesterday, but here we are, my 5th Game Changers as a Zeno team member and my 3rd as Executive Director. But before we get too far into the program, I want to ground us in a land acknowledgement. So we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the land we are on. Because we are virtual, we encourage you to follow the native land link that someone will drop in the chat. You can learn more about the native people in your own area. Zeno's team is hybrid, and many of our workspaces sit on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present. So we'll take a moment to honor with gratitude the land itself, the Duwamish tribe. Despite centuries of colonization, genocide, and racism, Indigenous people are still here. We recognize the legacy of systemic oppression that enables us all to be here because generations of Indigenous people have been displaced. We also recognize that this country was built through enslaving and exploiting the labor of enslaved Africans. So we acknowledge and honor the strength, resilience, and capacity of Indigenous and African peoples in our regions and from the regions you are all joining us from today. So just please join me in a quick moment of silence and reflection. Someone needs to mute. All right. Thank you all for joining us, both virtually and those who were able to join us this past Tuesday, if you made it to the reception at the Museum of Flight. We are only able to spark joy and inspire love of math with your help and continued support. In 2022, Zeno's theme was Math Is. Together in community, we explored many of the things that math is to us and the world. We learned that math is opportunity, an ancestral right, and most importantly, math is identity. The more we explored what math is, the more we realized that math is everywhere. From the simple transactions when you buy your morning cup of coffee to the incredible geometric shapes and patterns found in the natural world. We as math lovers can easily see that math is everywhere. And trust me, as an ED, I'm well aware of math's presence in my monthly budget meetings and grant requests. Math truly is powerfully connected to how we experience and understand the world around us, which means how we react to our environment is rooted in our understanding of math. For example, when it's 80 degrees in Seattle in October, my understanding of trends and proportions helps me see that the short-term comfort of a very glorious 80-degree day comes with renewed awareness of climate change. Another example, I recently read a study that highlighted a 5 to 10% percentile decline in math. I've heard this more discussed as a 2-year learning slide for the generation of children educated during the pandemic, because of disruptions that they experienced in their schools, their homes, their informal and formal learning environments. The math that gives us visibility into this learning slip motivates me and the team to work even harder to ensure that Zeno achieves new levels of programmatic expansion in the coming years. I believe wholeheartedly that our games, our services, and this team can directly impact this 2-year learning slide for every child by helping parenting adults make learning fun and playful. We all intrinsically understand the important role that math plays in our future when we consider technology, the careers of today and the future. But let us not also miss the role that math plays in motivating action within our community, motivation that sparks movements and inspires the next generation to shape a world that is stronger, more just, and more mathy than today. This is why at Zeno, we want every child to claim their right to math for their intellectual development, confidence, career opportunities, and to fulfill the promise of a brighter future. So today, as you experience the rest of our program, I challenge you to monitor your own emotions and find the moments where math helps you care a little bit more, pulls at your heartstrings, and inspires you to act in unison with Zeno. So thank you. And we're going to continue the program. And up next is everyone's favorite MC, Zeno's very own Jermel Witherspoon. Jermel, I'm going to pass it to you.
Hey, y'all. Thank you, Miley, for the welcome. And I echo your sentiments of gratitude for all who are joining us this afternoon. I am Jermel, a program manager here at Zeno and your MC for this afternoon. And we have so many exciting things in store for you today, including a discussion with Zeno partners and an awesome keynote speaker. But first, let's get some housekeeping out of the way, shall we? We encourage you to join us with your videos on if you feel comfortable. We love to see kiddos and families and pets. All are welcome on the screen. We ask that you would update your Zoom window with your name and your pronouns. We ask that you please mute your mic to help us avoid noise interference. And we put together this amazing, really cool swag bag for you all. And you should see a link in the chat now. And in your digital swag bag, you'll find this awesome Zoom background. You see some of us already have. You see it, the pink. And you'll find instructions on how to make yours match ours to change it if you're interested. And there you'll also find bios for all of our speakers today, a number of items that are really cool that you'll love. And we'll be sure to point you to the Dropbox, right, where you can find the link in the chat this afternoon as well. Now, as many of you know, Game Changers this year includes an online silent auction, right? And the link is in the chat that will take you right to the bidding platform. It's super easy. We've got game packages. We brought back Zeno's popular pizza night. We've got a signed Founders jersey. Oh, we got some unmuted. All right. Thank you. We've got a signed Sounders jersey. So please get in that bid. Get in that bid. The online auction will close at 8 p.m. this evening. That said, I think that we are all gathered this afternoon because we know that our investments fuel our growing math movement, right? Creates positive math experiences and ultimately shifts attitudes about math and learning. So we invite you to make a donation today in service of those shared values. We'll officially ask for your gift a little later in the program, as if I'm not officially asked for it already. But know that you can donate at any time, feel free, by simply using the link in the chat, right? It should be sent right now, or by scanning the QR code on the screen as you see it, okay? Cool beans. Now that the housekeeping is out the way, let's get this Game Changers afternoon going, shall we? Let's start by acknowledging our amazing sponsors and collaborators. We have Boeing, give it up for Boeing. We have Microsoft, give it up for Microsoft. We have Turner, give it up for Turner. We have Symetra, give it up for Symetra. We have Bristlecone Advisors, give it up for Bristlecone Advisors, and we have Magic Cabinet. And to our collaborators, right, Encompass, Jose Marti Child Development Center, Math Talk, all of which you'll hear from later in the program. And to our Zeno champions, many of you in the audience, thank you. Thank you for your support, to gather your friends and families to join us today at this pre-game join us today and at the pregame event that we had earlier this week, which was a freaking amazing. Y'all should have been there. I hope y'all got your line from there. As Miley said, right, this is our 5th Game Changers event, our yearly fall opportunity to come together to raise funds and friends for Zeno. You might recall in times before this pre-COVID time, I think everything's like pre-COVID time, when we would gather around dressed lunch tables and chat with our table captains and other guests while breaking bread. For the last couple of years, we've mixed game changers up. It's been fun. Yes, this year we are continuing to mix things up. At Tuesday's pregame reception, we gathered, oh, isn't that amazing? We gathered in person at the Museum of Flight for some playful competition with a Math is Everywhere game show, some food, and some communing. It reminded me of those pre we have done incredible things at Zeno, right? And we've had some incredible guests at our Game Changers events. But one of my favorite was our keynote speaker in 2019. Her name was Mele Miller. She told this touching, amazing story about her mom finding her math notebook as a child and telling her this. She said, her mom said, I always knew you were smart, but I had no idea that you were math smart. If you can do math, her mother said, you can do anything. Then years later, Mele described her own moment as a mother, helping her own child with his kindergarten homework and having the chance to narrate that beauty for her son. And in a frustrating moment in his learning, she passed down the math smart identity to him. As a Black mathy person, in case you didn't know, I am a Black person, that really stood out to me, right? The beauty, the encouragement. I remember the power and confidence that came with realizing that I too was a math person. And quite frankly, I wish it would have come earlier. What a gift to get that from a parenting adult at such a young age. Now, this next speaker is the parent of an early learner himself, and he is a Zeno team member. I call him my brother, y'all. Joining us to tell us a bit about his own perspective as a math smart parent, I'd like to introduce you to my colleague, my brother, Zeno's only product sourcing production manager, Anthony Green. And you can learn more about Anthony, y'all, and read his bio a little deeper by looking in your digital swag bag. And there's a link that was just put in the chat for you to click on. All right, y'all, give it up for Anthony. Welcome, Anthony.
Thanks, brother. And thank everyone for joining us here this afternoon. My name is Anthony, as Jamil said. And before I begin, I have a question for everyone attending tonight, or today, rather. I'm sorry, it's afternoon. How many parents do we have in the audience here in the chat? Go ahead and give a Zoom reaction. Tell us the name and age of your child or children in the chat. And on that note, I'm the dad of a bright, brilliant, and determined 3-year-old named Amaya. It feels like every day I'm learning something new about her and myself as a parent. Like many of the parenting adults we work with, before Zeno, I had no idea there were specific math standards and skills that measured Amaya's readiness for kindergarten. Did you know that in Washington State, preschoolers of color are entering kindergarten with very different levels of math skills and confidence compared to their white peers? In fact, only 58% of them, our children, are entering kindergarten with adequate math skills as measured by the Washington Kindergarten Inventory of Developing Skills. Can you believe that? As a father of an early learner, hearing that, it was heartbreaking. Fortunately, I know that's a problem that Zeno helped solve. Zeno used to focus on elementary school kids. Our evolution to focus on math development for early learners and their families began in 2014, when we piloted the Family Mathways program. As a small pilot, Zeno reached over 250 families in Seattle that year with the math game kits that looked quite differently than the ones that we have now. And in just the 5 years since we've been hosting Game Changers, Zeno has reached over 25,000 families, supported over 3,100 staff and educators, collaborated with over 165 community-based partners and 20 school districts, hosted over 300 family math events, and something I'm personally proud of and happy to shout out to everyone that will listen, distributed over 145,000 math games. Truly amazing. Today, The Family Mathways program still inspires a love of math in children with programming that includes a suite of Zeno math game kits for each enrolled child, family and community math events that engage parenting adults in their child's learning, coaching for providers and partner staff on how to integrate math practices into existing services, and professional development sessions teaching folks that math is everywhere, like in literature, race equity, and social emotional learning. In my 2+ years at Zeno, I've learned new ways to fully live into my role as my daughter's first and most influential teacher. It's here I learned that I can influence what, how, and when Amaya is exposed to early math concepts and about early math concepts in general. I know now that my own phobias and biases about math can be passed down to her. And I understand clearly how math-positive adults raise math-positive children. It's no surprise that every year, more families strongly agree that they identify as a math person as a result of their work with Zeno. I know I do and will as a result of this. We also love hearing the feedback that Zeno families feel seen and represented in our work and our games. I wasn't at the 2019 luncheon Jermel recalled earlier, but like Mele, I too have privilege to pass down a confident and joyful math identity to Amaya, one that not only prepares her for kindergarten, but for her whole life beyond. That said, including families is just one part of Zeno's equation for success. Another part of that equation is working through partners. Those 25,000 families I mentioned a minute ago, that impact was accomplished in collaboration with trusted community organizations. And on that note, Jermel, do you want to tell us a bit more about Zeno's work through partners?
I sure will. Thank you so much, Anthony. So listen, at our Math is Everywhere, right, in that game show we did on Tuesday, one of the questions asked was, why does Zeno work through community partners? Now, we get this question a lot. Not only does engaging partners maximize Zeno's ability to reach more children and families, it gives us the opportunity to create positive math experiences relevant to race, place, language, and culture, right, of the communities we work with. Zeno's partners have long-standing relationships, and these relationships have taken years for us to foster and build. That expertise and rapport is a critical and valuable resource for learning, especially for our little ones. So we've invited a couple partners, past and present, to share more about their work with Zeno. Lynn Creed from Encompass and Christina Jimenez from Jose Marti set in on a conversation with Gladys and I to share more about Zeno's work from their perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn your attention to the video that we got from our time together. All right. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here today for this Zeno Game Changers event. And the theme of this year's Game Changers event is Math is Everywhere and Math is Impact. And with our theme, I'd like to go on a journey together to explore the universality and impact of math and your experiences with Zeno. And so I have some amazing folks here with me that I would like to introduce themselves, their names, their role, and the organization that they are here from. I will turn it over to the two folks that are here to share with us.
Hi, my name is Lynn Creed, and I'm the Program Manager for Parent Child Plus at Encompass.
Hi, my name is Christina Jimenez, and I'm a Family Support Specialist here at El Centro de la Raza.
And there's also someone here who you all are very familiar with, my coworker, the amazing...
My name is Gladys, and I am a Program Manager at Zeno.
And Gladys will be helping facilitate this conversation with Lynn and Christina. So we are going to just dive right into our questions, shall we, ladies? The first question just simply is, how'd you first hear about Zeno?
I heard about Zeno at a coordinator meeting for Parent Child Plus. It's a monthly meeting that we had, and they came and presented. They brought some of their math games, and we were able to do a hands-on activity with them. And that was the first exposure that I had. And from that meeting, we were given contact information if we wanted to integrate Zeno into our program at Parent Child Plus.
Thanks, Lynn. How about you, Christina?
I was introduced to Zeno when I was doing home visiting here at El Centro de la Raza. We take your math game into our home visits. And since then, I've moved on to the Child Care Center, and we've kind of incorporated your theories, your curriculums with our curriculums, getting the kids ready for kindergarten.
Perfect. Gladys?
I just wanted to say it's so interesting to hear how you all first started and how you all first heard about Zeno, just because when I first started as a specialist, I got to partner with both of you, and you were Zeno experts when I first started, and I learned a lot from both of you. So it was nice to hear your initial experience as well.
Thanks, Gladys. Okay, so we're going to go into the next question. I just want to ask, what did you all envision when you began your partnership with Zeno?
So our vision, when I moved to the Child Care Center, is that the curriculum and the Zeno games would tie together. Our kids have pre-kindergarten expectations, recognizing numbers, color, sorting before they make their way into kindergarten.
And how about you, Lynn?
What I envisioned with our partnership with Zeno was that we would be taught how to teach our parents how to be their child's first and most important teacher. And that's exactly what happened.
All right, perfect. So as kind of we go into the next question, that's a great lead in. Can you tell us about the impact of Zeno's work on the staff and or families that you support? And Lynn, because you kind of answered the last, can you tell us a little bit about that?
The impact on the staff and our families was extraordinary. When we were brought new games to learn about, we got to explore them in a hands-on way. We often heard the phrase that it is about exposure and not mastery, and we were able to model that exact concept to our families, which made it very enjoyable.
Thank you for that. How about you, Christina?
The impact with our families has been great. I've heard so many reviews and feedback. A lot of families who don't normally incorporate family time kind of do that around the games that we send home. They love that the kiddos are learning the level of math at an early age. And then vocabulary. One kiddo came in and was pointing out stickers and busted out the word rhombus. And I'm like, what? How does he know this? Through the math games.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Now, listen, sparking joy is a very, very big part of what we do here at Zeno Math. Can you share a joyous moment from your experience with Zeno?
Well, one of the most joyful memories that I can think of is Zeno would help us with our graduation celebration. And after the graduation ceremony, we would spend a great deal of time with math. We had set up tables and all sorts of stuff. We had only rented the space for a few hours. And at some point, we needed to start putting things away. And we were putting chairs away and tables away, but the families weren't leaving. They were staying in the chairs. And pretty soon, we were coming up and taking a chair, but they still stood there at the table because they wanted to continue the learning. They stayed there right up until we needed to hand the key to the person that we rented it from. So it was exciting to see that they were just having such a good time that it didn't matter that the tables were leaving, the chairs were leaving, and even the math games were leaving. They stayed until the last moment.
Thanks for that. How about you, Christina?
Well, aside from taking the games home and having family time, I think the next best thing that the parents have asked for and our families have been the family math parties. They love it. They want a reason to gather. They want a reason to have community. And then added bonus, the kiddos are playing, but they're also learning math at the same time.
Perfect. And Gladys, since you have been such a pivotal part of this relationship, how have you seen joyful moments being sparked?
Even just hearing about the different family math parties and how hearing about the not exposure versus mastery, or even families just being excited about the games. I think all of those joyful moments or those individual stories, hearing even through the pandemic, I know some of the Encompass home visitors would share about their experience with the virtual setting and how families were just as involved, just as excited with Zeno games, and the modifications that we've done to, make sure that these games were still exciting, were still individualized for those students, making sure that we were incorporating those specific details that we needed to with each individual child, or even in the classroom, remembering that they wanted us back in the classroom. Teachers were asking when we would be able to come back when we'd be able to be in front of the children. All of that to me was very, very joyous, and all to me were joyful moments for sure.
Thanks for that, Gladys. And, shameless plug, we cannot wait to get back in person with you all with our hybrid model coming up this year. I am so excited. And I'm sure our kiddos in our classrooms are as well. Yeah, so racial equity is at the center of our work here at Zeno. And so my question to you all is, what has your experience been with racial equity in those conversations since being a part of Zeno's family?
We were so happy with my staff and our program to learn that racial equity was at the core of Zeno. We feel the same way. Myself, my staff, and many of our families are from the BIPOC community. It was great to see that the games, the instructions, the language really reflected our communities, our culture, and our language of the families that we see.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Lynn. How about you, Christina?
Here at the Child Center, we work with low-income, high-risk families. So when it comes to racial equity, a lot of our families have so many needs. We refer them to our social services. And when it came to Zeno, we provided the materials they normally wouldn't have otherwise.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And Gladys, you've led a lot of the conversations, right, on racial equity. So how did you feel about it all?
It was actually pretty exciting, especially with El Centro. I had some experience previously, just having had some volunteer experience or attending Dia de los Muertos, since it was also a part of my culture. I was able to be a part of that community even before Zeno, and then kind of jump into that a little bit more with our partnership. And even with Encompass, I know I didn't get to, unfortunately, go to the end of year celebration during our partnership, but getting to hear about the families, getting to hear about the experiences, and getting to share some of those tips and tricks in Spanish and in English, and being able to make those connections and even learn some of that vocabulary in both languages, I think was helpful to me. And also with the racial equity conversations, just they were seamless. It was sharing our stories. It was sharing our experiences. And so I really enjoyed getting to do that with both. I enjoyed getting to do that with both of our partnerships.
Thank you for that, Gladys. Yeah, Lynn mentioned earlier, right? Like the representation on the boxes, and and showing the kiddos and the families, right, that they matter, that they are math folks. That's been so very important to us, and we do that through this lens of racial equity and being equitable and making sure that our families, right, those who are pushed aside to the margins, have what they need in order to grow. And so thank you all for that.
That's true, Jermel. And even remembering that Encompass didn't just work with Spanish-speaking communities. Encompass works with so many different communities, and even they're not just with their families, but also with their home visitors. And I got to learn through other people's experiences and about other people's cultures, and how we were similar and how we were different, just through those experiences.
Thank you, Gladys. Okay. So as we kind of come to an end here, I've got some questions to ask you all individually, Christina and Lynn, if you will allow me to. And I'm going to start with Christina. Can you tell us about the roles you played in partnership with Zeno?
When I was introduced to Zeno, it was through the home visiting program. And I love that with the Zeno math game, we were able to incorporate that into our home visits, taking it into the home, providing the material, the resource for the family to be their child's first teacher. In the child care center, I love that we're incorporating it into our curriculum so that the kids can get ready for kindergarten.
Thank you for that. So listen, we know the pandemic had a huge impact on all of our work. And so I'm going to ask you this, Christina, but please feel free, Gladys and Lynn, to answer as well. Because of this huge impact, right? Now we're kind of doing our due diligence to begin to resume some in-person work. And what are y'all looking forward to as we start back in person?
I can speak on behalf of our teachers. We're looking forward to having Zeno back in the classrooms. We love having the special guests come and interact with the kids, show off the materials. I recall in years past, the kids just loved it when our Zeno monitor would come in, like, oh, she's here, we're going to do math.
I think Gladys and I might be looking forward to that as well.
I was going to say, I agree with that. Getting that child interaction. I don't get to work in classrooms all the time. So getting to go in there, getting to see kids excited, and even hearing little tidbits like, oh my gosh, we have the same shoes, or oh my gosh, she speaks the same as us in certain occasions. All of those interactions are really exciting. And they only happen in person and in those, I guess, more intimate moments, you and the classroom. So definitely. And actually, I am actually curious, Lynn, to hear about what you're looking forward to after Zeno, if I can ask.
Zeno will always be in my heart, so my relationship with you won't end. However, we are so excited to continue the learning. You taught us so much, and that doesn't end. And so this year we are doing a math bag. So it's like a little backpack. And with each new theme that we bring out, whether it's dinosaurs or farm, we are adding unifix blocks to do measuring, or we're adding manipulatives to sort by attribute. We're doing subitizing. We've learned the concepts. We've learned how to just squeeze math out of a book or a toy, or just everyday moments like, even a math scavenger hunt around the home. So we will continue the work that you taught us, and we're excited to do it.
Oh, that makes me happy. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah. Now, Lynn, how did you know, since we're here, right? How did you know you were kind of you told us about all that you've gathered, right? And the concepts, and now you're ready to kind of take that and move forward. The handoff has come. How did you know you were at the end of your Zeno journey?
Parent Child Plus is known as a literacy program, early literacy. And in our team meetings, we have them weekly. We talk a lot about vocabulary, literacy, those kind of concepts. When working with Zeno, we started learning more math vocabulary and math concepts. And at the very beginning, those conversations were really during the training, shortly after the training, or maybe when talking at team meetings about something that we had introduced to a family. But then they just started becoming a part of our everyday team meetings, having nothing to do with the Zeno game, nothing to do with a math concept. So when I heard the concepts and the vocabulary, almost like a third language within our team's meeting, I knew that my staff had it and were ready to just go to the next level.
Yeah. And that vision that you had, I'm sure, right, kind of came into fruition. Has it been fulfilled?
It absolutely has. I probably think it was fulfilled maybe a little earlier, but we just didn't want to let go of the relationship. We still thought we had things to learn. It was in the pandemic. We weren't ready to, take the training wheels off. And now we really are. So it wasn't just fulfilled. It was exceeded.
I love that. And you've told us how you are continuing to make math fun with your math backpacks. And we trust that you have all you need to do all that needs to be done. And we are always here. And so we appreciate your partnership so much, so much. Okay, y'all. So as we kind of come to an ending, what would you, Christina and Lynn, share with those who don't know Zeno or who are interested in joining our Zeno superhero team and being a part of this Zeno work? What would you share with them?
I'd like to share that a child's love of learning, especially math, begins at a very young age. And Zeno has all the tools and resources to get that started.
To share that our partnership with Zeno was so rewarding. We learned so much. It was equitable, it was easy, it was engaging, it was ongoing. But most of all, for ourselves, my staff, myself, and our families, it was fun.
Thank you for that. And I hope as you move forward, Lynn, that you would encourage and continue to see the math in everything, everywhere. And Christina, we're going to keep reminding you because we'll be right there to do it. But you just remind the folks that are a part of your teams that math is indeed everywhere. Now, Glad, I know that you have had the privilege of working with these amazing folks. Is there anything that you'd like to say to them before we head out?
I just want to say thank you to both of you. You've always been Zeno champions. Anytime that we try to reach out to some partners to hear your voices, we know that you are open, that you are available, and that you are willing to share from your experiences, share from your stories, and always provide feedback and provide that growth for us as well. And Lynn, I am going to miss working with you all. I'm going to miss those staff meetings and just those conversations. And I look forward to hearing all of the new things that you all will get to do, and everything that will come afterwards, especially those math bags. That sounds really exciting. And if you ever want to share some of those stories with us, we're more than happy to hear them, and we're more than happy to share as well. And Christina, I look forward to our continued partnership just because I enjoy going into the classrooms. I enjoy getting to see kiddos' faces and enjoy getting to partner with teachers as well. I know I looked forward to those connections every month, and although it won't be as frequent as in the past, I look forward to those same connections and being able to be there with you all as it makes sense. So
thank you, Gladys. Again, thank y'all so much for taking the time out to answer our questions and for always being a Zeno champion. Remember that you will always be a part of our Zeno family, and you will forever be a math person. Now, I'm going to pass it back to myself. Jermel, take it away. Hi, friends. Can you see me? All right. Thank you. Can you hear me? Nod your heads.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much again, Lynn. Thank you so much again to Christina for your amazing words and collaboration with Zeno, sharing your thoughts and your experiences. And again, you can find this conversation where? In our digital swag bag, linked where? In the chat. Thank you all for listening. And as you're hearing, for Zeno, math is so much collaboration as well, right? Whether that's working with partners, providers, or families to build math habits in the classroom or at home. That's not where the collaboration ends, though, right? Last year, Zeno worked with another amazing organization, Math Talk, and piloted a program in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This partnership brought their augmented reality measurement app, Measuring Everything, to Zeno Games, Measure Me. Zeno worked on this partnership with Omo Moses, the Math Talk founder, and CEO, and this year's virtual launch keynote. Omo is carrying the legacy of his father, Bob Moses, one of the first who linked math to social justice. He's joining us from Cambridge, Massachusetts this afternoon. And so I want you all to give a virtual round of applause to Omo. And remember, you can find his amazing bio in the digital swag bag as well. I will pass it over to Omo.
Well, thanks, Jermel. Thanks to the Zeno team, all you game changers. Thanks, Miley. I wish you all were around when my dad was trying to teach me math when I was a kid, because it wasn't fun. It wasn't one of the funnest experiences that I've had. And so I wish he had some Zeno games to play with me with. And so I just want to share a little bit about my math journey. And so, it begins as a child, it continues as a young man, and continues as well as a dad, with my own kids. And so, also want to thank Zeno for grounding this in, the land that we live on and the country that we live in. And I think it's really important to not learn math for math's sake, for the sake of learning math, but to understand how this is part of a legacy of oppression and part of a fight for justice. And so, I mean, my dad would say some things to me, when I was a kid, like, teenager in the early 80s, that, math was the key to 21st century citizenship. And that if your friends don't get this algebra, then they're going to end up in jail. And, I thought my dad was crazy. I didn't understand, what he was talking about and how that was relevant to my life and to the lives of my friends and my peers. And so this idea that math is the key to citizenship really grows out of his work in Mississippi when he was organizing sharecroppers and others to demand the right to vote. And he understood, just how education, really prevented folks to get access to the political system and to the country's economic arrangements. And so he saw math in that light, that math is really a gateway to both political access and access to the economic arrangements. And so for me, it started becoming clear when I went to high school. And so I grew up in Cambridge, Mass, in the backyard of Harvard and MIT. And, it's in the backyard of all this biotech, Kendall Square, all these technology companies. But I didn't really realize, how, we weren't really being prepared, or my friends and I weren't really being prepared to both see ourselves as young people that can access everything that was around us, but also with the skills and the tools to be able to access that. And so for me, that became clear when I went to high school. And I went to Cambridge Vincennes. It was one high school in the whole city. And I was on an honors track. And I tell the story, I was the only Black kid in all of my honors classes and AP classes. There was one other Black kid all through high school. And, I was being prepared for higher education, whereas most of the kids that were my friends were really being prepared for like menial work and also incarceration. And so, I began to see just how, education and the system of education in this city, was really a sorting mechanism for where kids ended up and kind of what opportunities were available to them. And so, I think it's great that you all talk about identity. Part of the father-son thing is, I think sons are always looking to do something different than what your father, wants you to do. And so I always resisted getting involved with math, but math has always been something that's been a central part of my life. And so when I was a high school student, what that meant was I focused on becoming a basketball player. And so, I was good enough to win a state championship. I was good enough to get a Division I scholarship, but I wasn't good enough to earn any money coming out of college, and playing beyond college. And so when I hit that wall, I asked my dad if I could start doing some work with him. And so my earliest work experiences were, in middle school and in high school and even through college. He would kind of have me working in summer programs or other programs teaching younger kids math. And so I just saw the value in that experience. And so it was a way for me to experience like the power of learning and teaching and kind of how that's impactful. And the teacher learns as much as the learner and is empowered as much as the person you're trying to teach. And so I naturally leaned into that. And so, he was working in Mississippi then. And so he told me to come down to Mississippi and begin to work with him in his classroom. And so I spent about the next 25 years doing that work. And so I founded an organization called the Young People's Project, which still exists. And basically, when I think back to what we were trying to do, I was thinking about, me and my friends entering high school and me being on one path and them being on another path. And, there wasn't there wasn't anything that I could do about that, and so with YPP, we thought about, well, what can we do to help young people accelerate themselves, but also be a resource to other young people, uplifting them, each other, and helping them with their own mathematics. And so it's basically a peer teaching model where you have high school and college age kids playing games and, teaching, doing math types of activities with younger kids. And so part of the message there is that, part of your success is, dependent on your community. And so, not that you can't, it's not about you finding a way out for yourself. It's about how you can, become successful and be a resource to your community and help uplift others as you, become successful. And so that work, which feels like a lifetime ago, I spent a lot of years doing that. And then I became a dad in 2012. And again, I was, at a crossroads, and I was just trying to think about, well, what can I do? What do I want to do? And the thing I knew I didn't want to do, I didn't want to have the same relationship with my kids that I had with my dad around learning math. And so I said, I want them to have fun learning math with me. I want them, us to build a positive relationship around that. And so we began learning math, making breakfast, riding trains, playing basketball. And I just saw the opportunity to really engage them. And as you've said here a couple of times, and really just seeing math all around them and understanding that math is everywhere. The other thing that I saw was that once you turn kids on to math, then, they begin pushing you, to engage with them around it. And so it went from, me trying to get my son to like stack condiments at the restaurant to him, us going into a restaurant and saying, Dad, let's do math, where he associated the restaurant with, this is the time and the place that we're going to learn some math. And so I think the games that Zeno's creating is really a catalyst for adults being able to have those experiences with their kids, at home, out in the community, and at school. And so, that's vital. The other thing that I'll say that I realized with my kids was that, and this connects to my dad's work and why this is a systemic issue, was that, my kids love math. They're math people. My daughter asked me, Daddy, you love basketball more than math? And I said, yeah, I do, of course. And she couldn't believe it because she loves math more than anything else, and the same with my son. And so they have a passion for math beyond, my love for math. And so, I've seen like how that's given them the confidence and the capacity to really enter the school system and do well. But I will say, like, it's really a crapshoot. It's really a crapshoot in terms of what teacher you get, that your teacher's ability to recognize your child's potential and really nurture and accelerate their math talent. And so, it wasn't until my son was in the 5th grade where I think he had a teacher which really recognized and was ready to nurture his math potential. And so as a parent, I had to be able to advocate for him and to really push for the system to give him what he needs and to be able to recognize his potential and his ability and to challenge them to accelerate it. And so, when I think of my dad's work and I think of Zeno's work, I think of Math Talk's work, I think on one level, we want the kids to be excited. We want to turn them on, get them curious, get them ready for school. And can we create a wave of kids that are ready to enter kindergarten or formal learning and, they're math ready and they're math confident and math is something that they enjoy doing. And then we also need a similar wave of parents that are ready to demand and advocate for their kids, that they get, what their kids need to be successful. And so the schools aren't ready to support our kids to do that. And so I think I see the work that we do as really sparking the demand at the level of the kids and at the parent level to really push the schools to be able to change and to support our kids' growth and learning. And so, I'm honored to be here amongst all you game changers. And, I'm inspired by the collaboration that we have with Zeno. I've seen just how impactful it's been every time, we show up with those math kits and, they're gone, you know what I mean? And so we're really using them as a tool and as a resource to engage families, but also to learn about, ways that we can, get better at engaging with families. And so, thank you for having me and, continue the great work.
Thank you so much, Omo. Now we are going to turn it over to Jay.
Omo, thank you again for sharing your story and all the incredible work you've done over the past 25 years. Maybe everyone, we get a little virtual clap here. Let's give it up for Omo, our incredible panelist today, as well as the Zeno staff for building and curating today's conversation. Thank you so much. My name is Jay Goyle. I am Zeno's board chair, and I would argue Zeno's biggest fan. And of course, since we're all about math, I can prove it in the numbers. Today is my 4th time speaking to you at Game Changers and asking for your support for Zeno. And over these years, you and I have raised nearly $500,000 in support of Zeno's mission. And I can say we would not be able to accomplish our mission without you. And the belief that every child can become a doer and lover of math. I see Caroline saying she thought she was Zeno's biggest fan. No, her math doesn't compare to mine. And that mission of becoming a doer and lover of math is so important to me. I was lucky growing up. Car rides meant multiplication table quizzes with my dad. So I'm pretty sure Omo's dad and my dad would get along really, really well. Given what he just said. And while that was much worse than playing a Zeno game, it certainly made me a confident doer of math. And thankfully, the love part came with other family games, like we played a lot of cards and board games, and that's where I developed more of my love of math. And I know not every child has those opportunities at home, which is why Zeno's work is so important. Because math truly is everywhere. In my day-to-day work running a startup, I help adolescents with their mental health. Math is deeply connected to how I make decisions and how we make progress on our goals. And before I get too much further, I also want to introduce you to Zeno's development director, Andriana, who has made math her life's work. Andriana, can you share how math impacts your work every day?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Andriana Alexis. I'm Zeno's development and communications director. When you hear that my role, usually when people hear that my role is to support the fundraising efforts at an organization, most of the time people can pinpoint quite specifically everywhere that math is in my day. Grant writing, donation totals, event budgets, word limits. You get the point? Math is certainly in all of those things, in all of those places. And while those metrics are important and informative to this work, to my work, for me, those aren't the only numbers worth counting. While I have the privilege to help generate resources on behalf of missions I love, like Zeno, there is so much math in my day-to-day that highlights a different honor. Math is the few thousand families of color that now have the skills and confidence to better advocate for their children's need in any and all learning environments. It's a one-on-one conversations I get to have with many of you where people share why they also are inspired to give generously to causes. It's the 1 or 2 new insights we walk away with after a conversation about race or our role in the work of centering racial equity. In my work, in our work, math is storytelling. Math is relationship building. Math is resourcing. And like Jay and everyone on my team has been saying to you today, math is also impact.
Yes, we could not lead, we couldn't build, we can't inspire without math. And that's definitely true, as Andriana was saying, for each and every one of us. but also the next generation of children who are inheriting a world built upon more and more complex mathematical concepts. You all know we are not solving climate change without some serious math. So I ask you to join me today in investing in Zeno. Our ability to reach families, partner with community organizations, and distribute games is directly correlated to the support we receive from each and every one of you. I give to Zeno not only because it's an investment in the future of children we reach directly, but also because we want Zeno kids to be part of shaping all of our futures, including our children's. If you too are feeling inspired to act with Zeno in an effort to spark joy and inspire a love of learning and math, you can make a Pi level donation today. You can see all these 314 numbers on the slide. Zeno began this Pi level gift to honor Rose Boyle. She's an early board member of Zeno and an amazing advocate for the organization. And what I like about this slide is that it's not just about the 314, but it actually shows a pie. And we all know that one slice is never enough pie. So we've created ways to stretch your pie giving and increase your impact to children and families Zeno works with. Andriana, can you come back and explain the 3 ways for folks to make a Pi level gift?
Happily. Now back to the job. Part of my job, that's the numbers. The first 2 ways that I'm going to explain to you about how you can make your gift today is by becoming an Infinity Club member. You can join the Infinity Club by making a recurring gift to Zeno. So for a Pi recurring gift, for a Pi Infinity Club gift, one way you can do that is with making a gift of $314 a quarter. Let's get some math equations in here. $314 times 4 quarters is over $1,200 of impact. And the cool part about that is that you can take your $1,200 of impact and spread it out with a Pi gift over 4 payments. If you're someone like me and prefer something that's a little bit more monthly option, you can sign up to give a gift of Pi at $31.40 per month. That's right, as you're giving to over $375 of impact with just 12 payments. Even better, you can set this gift up using the Infinity Club donation link in the chat, and thanks to technology and math, your gift will be charged automatically at the frequency and amount of your choosing. It's pretty cool. And since Pi isn't sweet enough and we love to give prizes and games away, Zeno is sweetening the opportunity. And anyone who signs up to be an Infinity Club member during our Game Changers event, during our Game Changers campaign, is entered into a raffle to win a Zeno family game basket. For those of you considering your first gift, I think this third option might be for you. Consider a first gift of Pi of $314 today. That single gift, the single gift of Pi, is also a way that you can make your contribution today. Rose Boyle, like Jay mentioned, knew the potential that math has to open the doors and inspire kids to change the game and the world. And now, today, this afternoon, I almost said tonight, it's only 1. This afternoon, all of us also know how to do that. If you haven't already had the chance, go ahead and use the links in the chat to join the Infinity Club. That's a specific link, or make your gift. That's another link. Ooh, drop it in there. Thank you, Felicia. You can also use the QR code if you would like to use your phone and scan the QR code on the slide in front of you, and that'll also take you to a donation page. We'll give you a moment so you can make your gifts. And I think some music's going to come on to give us a... Oh, there we go. Thank you.
We have to dance?
We should definitely have to dance. We're probably spotlit.
I'm going to record this on TikTok for us.
I don't know how to use that. I'm too old for that.
Oh my gosh. That's not good. Oh, they got rid of me on there. That's better.
Let us know if you have questions in the chat. We can always help support. That you can prepare to wrap us up here?
Yes. Thanks, Andriana. And if anyone has questions on your giving, she's the one to reach out to. Andriana, maybe you can add your email to the chat. And thanks so much for support for our event today. Hopefully you've been inspired by it. Please share the recap to friends and family. I know I invited quite a few people who said they can't make the event, so I'm going to share this with them afterward. Even if they're not as cool as you for not being here, definitely share them and invite their support for Zeno. We're confident they'll be just as compelled as we are today. You heard some of the stories from our partners to help Zeno spark joy and inspire a love of learning and math. So before I toss it back to Jermel to close us out, on behalf of the Zeno board, and many of which you'll see here in the on their videos, I want to thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and we really, really appreciate all your support. Jermel.
All right. Thanks, Jay. What a wonderful afternoon this has been. I really had fun, y'all. I want to remind you, don't forget to check out the goodies we have for you in our digital swag bag, including videos from this afternoon's program, a few special math activities, and more information about our guest speakers. And you will see that in the chat. Before we close out, I want to again say thank you to our sponsors, Boeing, Microsoft, Turner, Symetra, Bristlecone Advisors, and Magic Cabinet, and to our collaborators again. Thank you, Lynn Creed with Encompass. Thank you, Christina Jimenez with Jose Marti Children's Development Center. And thank you, Omo Moses with Math Talk. Remember, y'all, do not forget, the online silent auction closes at 8 p.m. tonight. The link is in the chat, right? It'll lead you right to the bidding platform. So bid before it's too late, into all the many hands and the many minds that made this year's Game Changers virtual event possible, including our speakers, our Zeno champions, and you, our audience. We couldn't have done it without y'all. Thank you for spending your lunch hour with us today and for your generosity. Now, a few of us Zeno champions and staff are going to stay online so you all can pop into a breakout room to ask a couple questions or just say hello if your capacity allows. If not, we look forward to connecting with you soon. Y'all are amazing. And we've got to end it, right, in the way that we end with our kiddos. We would have it no other way. If you know the song, sing it with me. Goodbye, so long to you, my friends. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. Goodbye for now, until we meet again. Bye, y'all.